We are following, as we promised, breaking news. It's out of the Eastern District of Virginia, where three sources familiar tell MSNBC former FBI Director James Comey is expected to be indicted in the coming days. The full extent of the charges being prepared against Comey is unclear. Joining us now, MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dilanian and MSNBC Senior Investigative Correspondent Carol Leonnig. Chris O'Leary, Ashley Parker, still with us. Carol, help us understand the reporting.
So, Katie, we have some sources who say that for several weeks now, the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia, and actually in offices that are potentially much further south than Alexandria, have been eyeing ways to indict Comey, and they are getting very much closer. The statute of limits, rephrase, they are arguing that Comey, there is evidence to suggest Comey lied to Congress in his testimony on the Hill in September of 2020. And for viewers out in the audience who may not be legally as nerdy as me and Ken, I'll just say that there's a statute of limitations to charge people with the crime of lying to Congress or perjury, and that's 5 years. The 5-year statute runs this month.
So what exactly is he accused of lying about, Ken?
Well, there was an exchange. There was a seminal hearing back in September of 2020 where congressional Republicans grilled him in the Senate about the Crossfire Hurricane investigation, the FBI Trump-Russia investigation. And remember, there were some issues around FBI mistakes, and the Republicans were accusing him of all sorts of misdeeds and of relying on that dossier. But in one exchange with Senator Ted Cruz, he was asked about a previous question that had been put to him back in 2017 by Senator Grassley about whether he had ever authorized the leak of information about the Trump administration or the Clinton administration and Hillary Clinton. And he said that he had not. He repeated his answer back in 2017. The Republicans were suggesting at the time, and we believe at least one theory of this is now, that was a lie. Of course, Comey insists it wasn't a lie. That Comey, in fact, had authorized somehow a leak of information. And what Ted Cruz cited during the hearing was a leak by then Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe to the Wall Street Journal about an FBI investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Now, what's important to know about that is there was a whole Inspector General report about Andrew McCabe's behavior and his leaks, and he was criticized in that report. But that report found that he was authorized on his own as the deputy director to talk to the media, and that he did so without explicit authorization from Comey. So on its face, that doesn't seem to support the idea that Comey lied. Of course, we don't know everything that the grand jury is contemplating. And in fact, I should say, Katie, this is a fluid situation. This could change. We are being told this by three sources that an indictment of Comey is expected in the coming days. They're also saying that this same office is expected to charge Tish James, the New York Attorney General, with mortgage fraud. And of course, Donald Trump, we all saw it posted on Truth Social in recent days, exhorting his Attorney General to charge both of those people as soon as possible. But again, grand juries are secret. This is a fluid situation. It's also important to know, though, that the U.S. attorney, the Trump-appointed U.S. attorney in this office, Eric Siebert, was essentially forced out last week, in part because he was refusing to bring these cases. We're told that he was opposed to prosecuting both James and Comey on these grounds, and he's out now. And the new U.S. attorney is a former Donald Trump defense lawyer who's never prosecuted a case. So that's the state of affairs.
What is her legal expertise? Or her legal arena?
She's a lawyer. She was a lawyer in the White House for a while. She represented Donald Trump in the Mar-a-Lago investigation. She's not a prosecutor.
Lindsay Halligan is her name. Carol, do we know that a grand jury is meeting?
I can't say with absolute certainty that they're meeting today, but we know some of the people that have been contacted for information, Katie. We know some of the people who've been asked questions about these theories that Comey allegedly lied to Congress. As Ken described, there is some flimsiness and some factual challenge to some of the theories that we've heard for the ways to charge Comey with a crime, because all of the available documentary evidence, much of which I've read forward and backward, makes clear that Comey did not authorize the leak that Ted Cruz asked him about, and makes clear that actually he was surprised that this information was shared with the news media.
Chris, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so, could they secure an indictment? Yes, the grand jury is a prosecutor's tool. And, I mean,
That was the old saying,
you can indict a ham sandwich,
Yeah,
for sure. The problem is making this charge stick. So is this just political theater, indicting Director Comey, arresting him in his home? But did he actually knowingly provide material false information to Congress? Very hard thing to prove, especially when there's information that has already been established that's exculpatory through an OIG investigation.
What would you say about the desire to go after Comey? I mean, we had a couple months ago when he was on a beach, he posted an image of 8647 in Seychelles, and the administration took that to be a
threat,
death threat against the president.
Which it's not, and it also dovetails into the recent discussions about hate speech and the standard for actual threats is very specific.
They followed him, right? But between a vacation and home, many hours on the road.
Secret Service brought him in. But think about this. The same people from the Secret Service, from the Protective Intelligence Division, who stopped the cyber issue yesterday at the UN General Assembly, were also distracted to go after things like this. Which is not a true threat. The court has established what a true threat is. And Director Comey posting 86 in shells on the beach is not a true threat.
What about the Truth Social post where he says, Pam, you got to go after these people? I'm summarizing. Does that give, in talking to Joyce Vance, she said that might give any sort of any defendant a way out of this by saying this is political retribution. It's something that you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to politically target people for prosecution.
It's certainly, the optic of it is terrible. People will perceive this as political retribution, even if it was a legitimate case, which it doesn't appear to be.
But can't a case get thrown out for under that reasoning?
Of course it could. And if he does get indicted and it moves forward, this case could get dismissed at any, step along the way, long before it actually goes to trial.
Yeah, we have to see what the evidence might be presented in an indictment. Let's talk again about what Donald Trump posted on Truth Social, wanting his U.S. attorney and his attorney general to go after perceived political enemies like James Comey, like Adam Schiff, like Letitia James. Ashley, help us understand how much, and I'm sorry to use this again, the teeth behind this. Does he really want these people to be thrown in jail?
Yes, Donald, I will say, let's put it broadly, not speaking exactly to Trump's views on Comey in jail per se, but Donald Trump was furious with Comey going back to the campaign, his first campaign in 2015. He fired Comey during his first term in a way that set off a really chaotic spiral for which he blames Comey. This is someone who has long been on his radar. He has long wanted to punish with whatever mechanisms and teeth possible. I think of that 8647 in Seychelles. As a former waitress, I know 86 to be a food term, right? Like, we're out of this. 86 hamburgers, we're no longer serving hamburgers. And so, again, the idea that the Secret Service would show up for that comment for a former FBI director shows that Donald Trump is, at the very least, very serious about making Comey's life very miserable. At one point, Comey ended up getting targeted by the IRS for one of these sort of tax audits that the odds of any citizen having to undergo are incredibly, incredibly slim. I think it's that post you just showed is not just Donald Trump saying the quiet part out loud, but in his view, it's not the quiet part. It's just what should be done. And he's very clearly instructing the people around him how he wants this handled, how he wants Comey treated.
He has often said that they go after me because they can't go after you, or they go after me to go after you. And he also says that I will be your retribution. So I guess it stands to reason that he believes that going after, or could he believe that going after James Comey and the like, Ashley, is Donald Trump getting retribution for harms not committed on him, but on his voters, on his supporters?
Well, he certainly promised revenge and retribution in this campaign. When voters went to the ballot box, that was very clear that that's part of what they were choosing if they chose Donald Trump, and he promised it on his political enemies like James Comey. I think it's hard to make the case, even for President Trump, that Comey somehow wronged his voters. But I will say that sense of martyring himself, there is still this broader sense that does appeal to Trump's voters of sort of broader grievance, right? That the deep state is after me, they're after you, you're getting a raw deal with institutions and governments, which a lot of his voters do feel. And that if they could do this to me, imagine if I wasn't standing in their way, what they could do to you. And that is an incredibly effective, powerful message for Donald Trump's base.